Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones. Tim has the morning off, and we also want to welcome you if you're watching us here on KREM 2+. Good morning, good Wednesday morning, but first let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Thomas Patrick, because Thomas, you're getting us ready for our Thanksgiving forecast, but what's today looking like first?
Yeah, and today probably being most people's Friday before the holiday, of course. And honestly, weather conditions, nothing major heading our way. It's kind of in that weird spot, though, where I'm not going to say, oh, it's going to be perfect and dry. Maybe not quite to that level, but nothing significant heading our way whatsoever. We're still at 35 degrees, so we are above the freezing mark. Radar not really seeing any kind of moisture in the air out there. There might be some mist. There might be some snow showers for the mountains, but obviously nothing significant from that view. So really good to go today. The weather not playing any kind of major factor in any of our plans, even for travel plans across the region. Temperatures hovering on either side of the freezing mark, but most of us between about 32 and 35 degrees.
Alrighty, Thomas. Well, that's exactly what we love to hear. And here's a live look at the traffic impact this morning. Seeing a good amount of cars for a 6 a.m. This is I-90 and Freya live look right now. So just remember, if you're traveling this morning or going to wherever you got to go to on the roads, just be safe. Here on Up with KREM, we bring you weather and traffic together every 30 minutes. And because it's a huge week for travel, as millions of Americans hit the road for Thanksgiving, this is a live look at Snoqualmie Pass. It can certainly be a tricky spot for drivers. In fact, I kind of just avoided after, October. If I can't get over to the Seattle area at that time, I just kind of say, hey, I'm not going to get on the road. It can be a tricky spot for drivers, and we'll take a look at the pass conditions each hour to give you the most up-to-date driving conditions. According to the TSA, today is the busiest travel day ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. This morning, our Shannon Mowdy brings us in on what you need to know before hitting the road.
Wednesday and Sunday are expected to be those peak travel days, so we are prepping you whether you're in for a long drive to the west side over one of the passes or sticking close to home. It's almost an annual tradition, traffic congestion. If you or a loved one are traveling over Snoqualmie Pass, prepare for the backup. WashDOT charts show eastbound travel will see the most congestion Wednesday afternoon starting around 11. That could last all the way to 4 o'clock. On Sunday, eastbound travelers can expect to see moderate to congested traffic throughout the afternoon. For those sticking closer to home,
it's just going to be slow in general.
Ryan Overton with WashDOT East says we're still going to see some slowdowns on the interstate as people head off on a long weekend.
The Freya Thor exit is already kind of a pinch point for congestion, and then all the way through Liberty Lake, and then as you head into Idaho, there will likely be some congestion, slower traffic, and higher volumes.
So maybe pack up the family and hit the road in the morning.
The peak travel time on Wednesday is probably going to be between about 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. So if you can avoid those times, either leave earlier or a little bit later.
And prepare to see more state troopers on Washington's roads. Emphasis patrols will be watching Snoqualmie Pass and the highways around Washington State University in particular. You'll see increased WSP presence on highways 26 and 195, where you may also expect increased traffic with WSU students heading back to school.
We do anticipate some increased traffic coming back on routes like 26, Highway 195, Friday into Saturday because there is the home Coug game.
Extra WSP patrols continue through this Sunday. Now, Overton says if you're planning a longer drive, do plan ahead for if you get stuck. That means check your tires and your oil, fill up on gas, and pack some snacks, warm gear, and maybe most importantly, not really, but some entertainment for the kids. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Some good advice right there from Shannon. And as the holiday season may mean more holiday parties, but just a reminder this morning to be smart and don't drive under the influence. Throughout the holiday season, more officers are out looking for drunk drivers. It's a part of a proactive step to keep our roads safer amid a rise in deadly crashes. Here at KREM 2, we bring you more to every story. This morning, we are looking at the numbers behind the state's 30-year Target Zero program. The program's goal is no traffic fatalities by 2030. Since Target Zero started 24 years ago, more people are dying on Washington roads, even though cars are getting safer. According to the state's Traffic Safety Commission, deaths involving alcohol and drugs jumped 63% since 2019. Washington State Patrol says they've already made 10,000 DUI arrests this year alone, which is on track to match or surpass last year's 11,000. WSP says that drivers physically seeing law enforcement is a big part of preventing impaired driving.
We're hoping that by being out there and being very visible that we are deterring people from getting into their cars and driving. If they see us out there, that they may say to themselves, okay, I need to call for a ride share or a taxi or make other arrangements to get home.
In response to the recent data, Target Zero released new recommendations. The program is calling on lawmakers to drop the legal limit to .05 down from .08, and they're pushing for more access to driver education programs. Well, if you're skipping the roads this holiday season and heading to the air, expect plenty of company. Spokane International Airport officials say they expect to be very busy coming off a record-breaking travel season last year. Officials say they anticipate around 140,000 people to use the airport between now and December 1st. GEG expects peak travel times being early in the morning between 4 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. as well, just as afternoon. And if you're one of the millions of Americans taking to the skies this Thanksgiving, here are some do's and don'ts for airport security. Back in July, TSA announced changes to what liquids travelers can bring through security. Under the new rules, gel or liquid medication, medical ice packs, baby food, breast milk or formula, and fresh eggs are allowed in their full-size containers. All other liquids need to be stored in a 3.4-ounce container inside 1-quart size plastic bags. When it comes to Thanksgiving leftovers, a good rule of thumb is that liquids should be checked in luggage, while solid foods can go in your carry-on. Remember, flammable materials, firearms, knives, and any other sharp objects aren't allowed through airport security. You can find a full list of what is and what isn't allowed in both checked and carry-on luggage at tsa.gov. And the TSA agent managing your lane has the final say on whether the items can make it past security or not. An update in North Idaho now. Residents and visitors of Post Falls will be seeing a new tall addition to the city. In 2025, the city will be putting in a clock tower at the roundabout at the intersection of 4th Avenue and Idaho Road. According to our news partners at the Coeur d'Alene Press, the clock tower cost over $100,000 to design, create, and install. Sticking in North Idaho, the city of Clark Fork is recovering after the city mistakenly transferred funds to a scammer who was impersonating a construction contractor's manager. According to our news partners at the Bonner County Daily Bee, the city transferred almost $500,000 after being made aware of the fraud. Clark Fork officials tried to cancel the payment but are uncertain if they were able to freeze the funds successfully. According to a Clark Fork City Council member, the incident is currently being investigated by the FBI and the Secret Service.
6:08 as we take it to our outdoor weather center. A cool but calm morning out here. Certainly could be a lot colder for November standards, but especially as we end out the month here. At 35 degrees right now, there is a chance for some fog to develop, not unlike yesterday. But also like yesterday, we haven't seen anything develop just yet. So obviously no dense fog advisories needed because, well, we're not actually seeing any fog at the moment across the inland northwest. It could develop later on forward today, and we will monitor that very closely. That might be the biggest of any kind of weather impacts as we are trending into a drier holiday outlook, of which we will go into detail, including your mountain pass forecast, coming up in my full forecast in less than 10 minutes.